There is a small act in racing that is itself a metaphor, the lowly tear-off. As the visor of the driver gets dirty over the course of a race, they must peel off a thin clear strip in order to see. It is a refresh that starts the same process over anew. Every season, things eventually build up to the final round, and we remove the point sheets, start over, and begin again with a wide open view. Today, the driver's vision is clear and it feels like it's anyone's game once again as we get ready to watch round one of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Eldora Speedway hosts our opening round this evening. Having become all the more famous thanks to Tony Stewart's help, it's already quite well known all over the country. Let's head to our track eye to look a little bit closer.
Welcome to the world's greatest dirt track, Eldora Speedway. Located in Rossburg, Ohio, northwest of Dayton, Eldora opened in 1954 and has been one of the premier dirt tracks in the country ever since. The half-mile clay oval, now owned by Hall of Fame driver Tony Stewart, is the perfect track to learn the ropes in any dirt car. It's versatile in its ability to host great racing across the board, including the winged and non-winged sprint cars, modifieds, and all 3 late models. And Eldora features fast and sweepy corners with a slight bend down the back straight, mainly attributed to a rounded-off corner exit in Turn 2. Now, like any good dirt track, the best drivers can adapt their style to many different lines depending on the track's condition at Eldora. Get a good run on the cushion, you'll be flying around the outside of the track. Be careful, don't jump the cushion in Turn 1. That wall is unforgiving. Around the bottom of the track, turns 3 and 4 can be the more daunting corners, especially as the berm works its way down to the concrete wall. So who will join the likes of Stewart, Steve Kinser, Donnie Schatz, and Scott Bloomquist, the other legends of dirt racing who have claimed victory here at Eldora? Let's find out. Enjoy the show.
And well, even though this track is probably more well known for the trucks racing around here with NASCAR, today we've got the street stocks out here, DJ.
We do indeed, and Eldora Speedway is one of the greatest dirt tracks in the United States. This half-mile track is wide as the day is long, and what it allows for these cars to do, no matter what you're doing, is run multiple lines through the corners. But as we always talk about with these street stocks, these are some of the heaviest cars on the iRacing system. They have the worst power to weight ratio out of any car that is on the surface. And so it's very hard to slow them down and get them back and going again. So the best way around here tonight, Joe, I think is going to be riding as high as you can on that high line. Keep the momentum going, keep the speed up, not having to use the brake. But definitely watch out for some good slide jobs that get thrown during the course of it, diving low, running it up high. I think that is going to be the way to get a pass done here.
Now, even though we've reset the points, as we mentioned, we do have the championship from last season. So here you can see Bobby Rafferty up at the top ahead of Steven Spies by quite a few points in the end. Really had it easily wrapped up. J.R. Shepard trying to give chase and see if he can repeat his dominance in the pavement series, but just wasn't meant to be this time. In fact, it was very close for him to finish within the top 3. If you see Proudfoot a scant 3 points behind, considering how many points we're dealing with, that is just a hair's between them. Chris Davis as well, not too far back, rounding out the top 5. And in case we've got newcomers coming in and checking out what all this dirt thing is about, DJ, what's our race details?
Well, this is the first out of 11 rounds in the BRL Street Stock Series. As we said, we're racing these dirt street stocks. It is a heat race format that you see on any dirt track around the country. So they're going to go out in heats, and the top 3 cars will advance to the A main automatically. No inversions whatsoever. From there, everybody else gets put into the B main, or the Consi. That's a 12-lap race, and out of that, they will fill the field to get to 24 cars. That is our cutoff line. That is who will make the feature. The feature is going to be 40 laps here tonight. It's a fixed setup, so everybody's running the same thing across the board. And remember, there are bonus points awarded throughout the night, so everything from qualifying to the heats, to the B mains, and of course, in the final race of the night, the feature itself.
Yes, right now they're just in the warm-up, so this is everybody out practicing currently. They'll get into the qualifying pretty shortly here, and then we will go racing soon. Brandon Proudfoot is currently our quickest of the drivers in this warm-up session for what it's worth, although those who follow short track racing know it's not always representative, especially here on the dirt side, DJ, with the way that the track is going to continually evolve, and even hasn't evolved here in this warm-up.
Oh, most certainly. You know, we talked about it a lot last year that you see these guys putting in the fastest laps very, very early on. and then the track changes in state, the lines get a little more rubbered in, the moisture wicks off of the track, and it gets harder and harder to run. But of course, as I say that, Brandon Proudfoot goes in and puts in the fastest time of the race. But we watch here Chris Davis. Chris had a really, really solid season last year, always a top 5 contender as he works his way around. Chris is currently 10th, so little off the pace of what we normally expect for him.
As we ride on board here, this is with Chris Davies, or Davis, excuse me, coming down the backstretch with that slight bit of curve in it, and he's going to pull it down to the bottom. Looks like he actually is going to take it in. This isn't him experimenting with the line. But, you know, it does make me wonder, especially since, as you mentioned, the high line seems to be preferred. Can you foresee maybe the low line coming in at any point, since it is such a sort of wide track? I mean, is there enough speed that you can keep to try and run the low line as the top gets rubbered up?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if we see what we're seeing out on track right now, which is a lot of guys running that high line, really slicking that in. That's going to get harder and harder to run as the race goes along. If the midline starts to go, there always seems to be that little strip of moisture down low. We saw last season guys like Proudfoot really being able to run that well, get that left front tire down onto that moisture and slingshot the car around the corner. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it is going to take a driver with absolute pinpoint accuracy to be able to get the car down there, to pivot, and to keep speed up.
So we ride on board, at least for a moment there, with Hazlip and the number 73 currently sitting 15th. We now look at Billy Northcutt, who has worked his way up into second on the timing sheets with a 1:19.948. It was actually his first lap as I look at his practice times now, so he has not been able to go any quicker since then. I am starting to see a little bit of a line start to come in down towards the inner side of the track. See if we can see it from this onboard. Doesn't look like quite from this perspective as we put a little bit of a graze on the wall for the double aught. There we can see that inside line now start to look a little bit shiny for our drivers. So already, even in the short practice, drivers have been doing their worst to both of the lines. Well, let's not forget as well that though we will see all the drivers, if we don't get any more people joining, show up in the finale, there's still something to be said for trying to perform well in these heat races. You already talked about the bonus points, but that starting position, that critical starting position in the feature race there, DJ.
Yeah, it's always important to start out to the front in a dirt race. It's a little less significant in a place like Eldora where you really have enough room to pass. But the biggest thing is you want to avoid any kerfluffle that's going to be happening going into turn 1 on that opening lap. But certainly as this season goes along and we visit tracks with tighter opening corners, I'm thinking about Weed Sport or Cedar Lake or some of those really tight openings that we have. That's where that qualifying position is going to become very, very key. But also out here tonight, if nothing else, for accident avoidance.
Continuing to watch the cars work on their lines and just look at how it always amazes me. I was never quite this good. Maybe I could manage it in these street stocks since they have a little bit less speed. Whenever I see these drivers just tip that outside wall to kind of use the cushion, but also even the concrete itself, it seems, DJ, to try and find that little bit of speed.
Yeah, these guys use absolutely everything they can to get the car into the exact position that they need to. It's really incredible. They can do this lap after lap. And, you know, as we interviewed guys last year, you can hear them say, well, lap 14, I could tell that the high line was wearing off, and so I had to dive down low. They just know absolutely everything about every millimeter of this track all the way around.
Which is all the more impressive, considering there's so much sliding that you have to do on the dirt side. On the pavement side, you have to be millimeter perfect, but then to have that accuracy here in the more slippery end of racing, as the number 9 of Justin Morton follows the 55 of Steven Spies around this track. Boy, a wide strip of rubbered in piece of slicked off racing track into turn 3 already in this warm-up session, and I'm seeing a little bit of the same on turn 1, but not quite to the degree that we've got down into turns 3 and 4. One thing that we've also seen in the past at this track in the Bootleg Series here, DJ, is if anybody does get to side-by-side racing, it seems like many times it can be a drag race to the line because of how wide this circuit is.
Oh, very certainly. It can very much be that just absolute see who's got more speed. And normally what we see in those situations is coming directly off the corner. It's going to favor the car to the inside. It's the shortest way around the track, so they'll be able to take it there. But once they get a little farther along down the straightaway, that's when it starts to favor the car on the outside. They're able to keep up momentum and keep up the speed. As you see them there, breeze on by Chris Davis. That start-finish line here today is about halfway down the main straightaway. It's about dead even. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. You know, some tracks it's a little farther up, some tracks a little farther to the corner, but this one dead even. So that will definitely play in if we've got a tight race for the lead coming to the end of the feature.
It's part of what makes it so exciting out here. One time we even had 4 wide for second place at the end of one of the races here in the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Series. 2 minutes left on the clock now. I gave a brief mention to the current owner here, Tony Stewart. That's one thing that I really love about what Tony's been doing with his success is trying to take tracks like these, because he's done it with multiple circuits now, from what I understand, that he's bought them up and invested in them, trying to bring them back to life, if you will.
Very much so. Tony's work has been absolutely amazing, very much carrying on the tradition of AJ Foyt, of being able to go out and run whatever you can, whether that is dirt or an oval whatsoever. Tony very much keeping that up, and his love of dirt racing born out of his maturation period in Indiana always proving true, and Smoke is a great progenitor of all these tracks.
In fact, I'm excited for his new series that's coming up. Some big names in there. With me being a race fan of all different styles, seeing guys such as Mark Webber get involved has me absolutely giddy to see some of these wonderful faces come together to try and race against one another in a way that we never really imagined possible here at tracks such as Eldora. Just less than a minute left to go. Not too many are still out there. I wonder if they're trying to save some of the grip, since we've already lost so much of it here in the warm-up, at least on the desired line. Just maybe half a dozen cars currently circulating. Everybody else is parked it in the pits and just waiting for this qualifying session to begin. Qualifying will grid them for these heat races, and then the heat races will determine whether they immediately go up to the feature or whether they will have to try and work their, well, not work their way in, but try and determine their grid spot in the consolation race just before the feature. So as we count down those final 10 seconds now, just 2 or 3 cars now left on the circuit. So the checkered flag waves from the lovable Barney there in the flag stand. Going to get going out for the qualifying. Let's see if we have anybody who waits. Now, they can't watch each other in qualifying, so is there much use to try and wait and see what happens in terms of qualifying out here?
Not at all, Joe. I think these guys want to get out there and get a fast lap in quick. We have seen time and time again, if you wait, the track degrades and you can't get as fast. So it looks like over half the field stepping out right now. I would not be surprised to see the rest of them start to go as we watch Chris Davis working his way on that outside line, trying to carry as much speed as possible to come across the line and take the green flag for the first of his 4 qualifying laps.
I think Shinosky in the 94 going to be our first one to set a time. As he takes his blue and green machine around turns 3 and 4. Again, they get 4 laps to try and set their quickest. Across it, he puts in a 20.6 as our first marker. See if anybody manages to one-up that. Oh, yes. We have Chris Davis quickly ahead of him. Seneca in second for a brief moment before Hirth has got himself into second in the number 66.
good runs there from them, but about 6/10 off of what we saw them doing as their fastest laps in practice. So that fast time going in, Chris Davis able to pip himself up to the top there. Good for him. Ron Snyder diving into third, John Wilson in fourth, and Robbie Robinson fifth.
Waiting for Northcutt to put in his first time, as well as Bobby Hayes. And Snyder is up to third. Northcutt is up to first, though. The double aught with a fantastic time. So he's got 15 thousandths ahead of second place currently. That still could be jumped if anybody finds something. Steven Spies, interestingly, is going against your advice. He has not yet come out to the track and is still sitting in pit lane.
Not sure what Steven Spies is thinking there, but I know better than to question his judgment, as Justin Morton able to jump up to the top, and Brandon Proudfoot coming into the surprise of nobody. Brandon not able to run a full season last year, but always seemed to be the top five when he was setting that time of 20.156. Here comes Justin Morton across the line. He's not going to be able to improve.
And Proudfoot is a 1/10.5 ahead of Morton. That's a big gap for a half-mile short track. I'm really astonished at the sort of pace that he's found over everybody else out here, as Bobby Hayes sets another quick one. That'll put him onto row 2 with fourth. Let's see, J.R. Shepard just now coming out. Spies is around turn 4. Is this the start of his first lap? No, it's the end of his first lap. That'll put him into sixth.
Interesting there that we saw him taking that low line through 3 and 4, going a little counter to what we think and everybody else is going to do, but there he dives it back onto the high line. Oh, you can see that absolute control. Look at those front wheels, not too much movement there from Spies. He's going to cross the line, a 25.39, so that high line not paying out for Steven here early, but here comes J.R. Shepard.
Just that little bit slower. J.R. Shepard, a 20.3. That is going to get him into third place. It's a good beginning to the season for the number 98. Spies back around. This one's quicker. It's a 20.2, and that'll put him into second place. That little bit closer to Proudfoot, but still 0.13 off of the 22 car.
Proudfoot just continuing his dominance from last year. And, we were watching J.R. Shepard there. Just want to point out he is a thousandth of a second faster than Billy Northcutt in fifth. So absolutely close there. As there goes Spies across the line, unable to improve. But here comes Northcutt trying to get that 1,000th of a second back. He's going to cross the line with 29. Not fast enough. Shepard, though, also unable to improve. We're not seeing a lot of improvement out of these drivers. There goes Kenny Kibby in 11th currently.
Yeah, Northcutt has completed his 4 laps, so he's not able to improve no matter what time he sets from here on out. I think Davis still has one to go, and Jason Best still needs a lap, who we see on screen in the number 47. 13th place, not going to see an improvement because that was a 20.6, 2/10 off of his best. J.R. Shepard also must have tipped the wall just slightly, as his last lap did not count.
Yeah, and that will happen. Anybody who is new to the iRacing service, if you tap into the wall, you get what is known as a 0x, and that will be taking your lap out of contention. So you cannot brush the wall and do it, but just over 10 seconds here to go. I think Billy Northcutt maybe just be out there running some laps for some fun, but I think we're done here.
Yep, he's just continuing his warm-up. Jason Best, by the way, did not improve. He stayed in 13th. And that will settle our grid. Let's go through the grid for our first heat. Now that is on the way, Brandon Proudfoot will be on the pole, with Billy Northcutt starting in second. Austin Belkey will be in third, and Jason Best will start P4. Ryan Sineker will be fifth, and Todd Hetherington will be in P6.
I gotta say, Joe, I think that's going to be a really fun battle to watch between Proudfoot and Northcutt, two of the fastest drivers we have seen here today. Always fun to watch, see what Brandon can do. Northcutt coming in at the end of last season and putting in some good times. So this is going to be a fun battle here. And remember, it's the top 3 that make it to the A main.
So we only have to be in the top half of the field here. These 6 cars, but you only get 6 laps to try and do it as well, and there's no caution, so mistakes will be costly. If you have a spin, if you hit another car, There's nothing to help save you and move you up the order. You have to try and work your way through and get a good finishing position in the Consolation as we now take off behind our pace truck. Hetherington has not taken the track, so I think the 68 is going to stay back in the pits for this one. We'll only have 5 cars, so only 2 will have to go to the Consolation.
Well, that'll be good for the guys in the back of the field hoping to move up, but Austin Belke currently starting in that transfer spot. You know, Belke really came on strong at the end of last season, put in some very good times, and our reigning champion, Bobby Rafferty, actually drawing attention to him of just how much improvement he's had. He was very quick in qualifying today, or in practice today, rather. So I think Belke's a bit of a sleeper here, one to keep your eye on that red 24 car.
I noticed that Hetherington seems to have lost internet connections, so that explains why he's not able to participate in this heat. He could still come back and race in the Consolation if he wants to, but he'll be gridded at the back of the field, which is a shame, considering he could have worked his way in just like everybody else here. But the green flag is out for the first heat of the day for round 1 of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Going to the high side, Proudfoot using the traditional line as Northcutt stays low, trying to use that extra moisture on the bottom. Doesn't pay off for him, but things can still change. And the transfer position, Jason Best in 3rd, is holding off Belke.
Really good start there from Jason. He was able to get that car up into position on the high line and carry that momentum all the way up through, just absolutely running that car to perfection. There you can see him sliding back onto that high line. Austin now trying to work him on the high side. Northcutt still trying to go low here. Looks like he just doesn't have the momentum off the corner. Brandon Proudfoot able to carry that car to perfection on the high side.
Northcutt going to abandon it. He goes back up top. And Jason Best is experiencing quite a bit of pressure. You can see the black and red machine with the red behind him as we hop on board. Northcutt once again going down low in that double aught car. Doesn't gain him anything through 3 and 4.
He's clearly seeing something down there that I don't think anybody is, but that gap up to Proudfoot about a half a second, I'd call it about 10 car lengths, so he is losing a lot of time by doing that. You see everybody fanning out there, Joe. That's that sort of crazy side-by-side battle where you don't realize everybody is running almost 3 wide there through the corner, but everybody falling back into line. Proudfoot just going faster and faster there. Well, only 2 laps to go here in the first heat.
And Best actually just slammed it into the outside wall in 3 and 4. So that certainly hurt him, but was not able to give Belke a chance to get past. He tried to go low, and that hurt his momentum. So he's behind now. Belke hits the wall just a little bit. The 22 are leader on the final lap. Brandon Proudfoot showing he knows how it's done here on the dirt side of things. As he comes out of turn 4, victory in the first heat of the day goes to the 22.
An amazing run there from Proudfoot, and utterly unsurprising. We've seen him do it time and time again. Billy Northcutt able to come home in 2nd. Jason Best in that transfer spot. That's a great run from him. Austin Belke, I think, will be kicking himself off of a poor start.
That brings us to Heat 2. And Steven Spies will start up on the top of this number 55. Bobby Hayes will start in 2nd. It's Damian Horth in 3rd, followed by Joe Segal in 4th, and 5th will be Jeffrey Hart. And it appears all of our cars are able to line up this time. And I love... Well, I think this this Denture Direct is going to need a dentist afterwards to at least clean up those molars on the front there.
I've seen a lot of paint schemes in iRacing, Joe, and that may be one of my favorites.
I mean, that's a good idea because the car is probably going to have really good bite in the corners.
Oh.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Steven Spies leads them around on the pace lap. The 55 choosing the low line for the start as Bobby Hayes works his way up to his right side in the number 13. So interesting that we see Spies going down low. I have to imagine he'll probably want to get up to that cushion as quick as possible.
He will. I do think that the reason for going low there is to just try to get a little bit of a better exit off of the corner, try to maximize the dirt, but we are getting ready to go here soon. So let's fire him up.
Green flag is out, and the 55 is well off, and yes, he gets a great shot down into the first corner, side by side for third, and Joe Segala looks like he's losing on that transfer spot because Horth is up into P3 now. There's all three of the back drivers involved in it. Look at Jeffrey Harden in the 44, way down low, trying to get himself into that transfer position. He had it for a moment, a big slam into the outside wall for Damien, but the 66 is able to keep the speed up, and another little bobble there for the 13 as he puts a little paint on the exit of 2.
And I thought Bobby was going to have a good run there on Steven Spies, but that is not happening. But here you see that 44 of Jeffrey Harden. Goes around, just gets a little too over-eager and spins it. That's going to put him to the back, but out front, Steven Spies able to set the fastest lap in the heat with a 25.67.
That means it's now down to 2 to try and get into that valuable third spot. Damien versus Joe. That's Joe on the low side in the black and white, and the number 66, the green and white car. Looking to use that cushion is Damien Horth. He's going to get the momentum he wants off the corner. He's clear. Segala tries to send it in and keep the battle going. We're already halfway through this heat race, and he's still holding on to it. Can't get the speed off the corner. Segala's making him work for it, though.
He certainly is, and Joe, that's the first time we've really been able to see that drag race like we talked about. It looks like if you take the high line, you'll be able to carry enough momentum to keep it going to get to the start-finish. But this battle, nowhere from Doug Segala, keeping that car low. Let's see if he can get a little better of a luck as there goes Steven Spies across the line to take the white flag.
And even he is vulnerable to slapping that outside wall, as we saw him do there on that lap. But the 55, leading the entire way, took good advantage of his pole position, and he's going to take victory in the first heat to get himself a good starting position in the feature. Hayes transfers through, so does Horth, and Segala is just shy, the first one that's going to have to go to the consolation race here from Heat 2.
And a good flag-to-flag run there from Steven Spies. The biggest thing to take away, looked like starting on that low line was the right call. He was able to get the bite out of the corner and then immediately move it up to the high line, which we're seeing to be the faster line here. So we'll have to see if Justin Morton, our pole sitter for Heat 3, does the same.
That brings us to this third heat where Justin Morton starts on the pole and Chris Davis will be in second. Kenny Kibbe, P3 for him. And John Wilson will start in fourth. And it's Matt Shanoski rounding out our field of 5 for this 6-lap race today.
Well, Morton and Davis obviously starting off in that front row. Always good to see them. Always seeming to be at the pointy end of the field. But Kenny Kibbe also has had some real flashes of some great races here and there. Not always consistent, but always seeming to be quick. So he is certainly one to watch. And I think John Wilson's going to give him a bit of a hassle. Wilson also able to put in some good runs last season.
Yeah, I'm going to keep half an eye on that 14 as well. I've seen him pull off some magnificent races on both disciplines here in the Bootleg Racing League. And I have no doubt that he'll have some sort of surprise at some point during the night to give us some fun out on the track, as we're already on the second pace lap. And the pace truck will release them. You can see they do not refresh the track between these heats. It is basically going to transfer over every single round, all heats into the consolation, into the warm-up, and then into the feature race. So it's just going to continue to deteriorate as we progress. Green flag is out, and it is a great start for Justin Morton. Once again, a battle for third, just like we saw in the second heat. Kibbe on the low side and dragging along the wall. Wilson's number 75 is slowed up so much that he's going to lose third spot. Chris Davis up on the high side is under threat as Kibbe is working that bottom side extremely well.
Kibbe working it to absolute perfection perfection there, really driving a good line there. You see Wilson getting into the wall once again. It looks like Kibbe lost a little bit of time there. I think he let the car float out into the middle of the corner ever so slightly, and indeed he jumps back out to the high side here, just trying to keep that momentum up. But Justin Morton continuing to control this race. He's got about a 4/10 advantage, about, I'd say, 3 car lengths up on P2 of Chris Davis, as everybody getting real friendly with the wall there through 1 and 2.
It was interesting. The 75 of Wilson took sort of a hybrid line through 3 and 4 last time, and he's not doing that this time. He's going all the way down to the low side. But he started up high before and then cut down, almost diming it off like you would with a hairpin in road racing. Wonder if we'll see that out of him again. It didn't do too bad. Meanwhile, top 3, you can put him under a blanket. There is practically nothing between them.
No, they're not. Kenny Kibbe really has to Chris Davis. Davis not letting Morton get away at all as they come to the line. 4-2 to go. Everybody just working that high side here. That seems to be the fastest way around, as we talked about earlier on, and we suspected it might be. Kibbe looks like he may have thought about doing a slide job there to the inside, but I think Kibbe knows he's in a transfer spot, doesn't want to mess that up.
Using quite a bit of the wall to get it around the track. Oh, and now he dives down low, looking for the slide job, maybe. He's not quite clear. Didn't send it in hard enough, and Chris Davis is going to deny him. The 7 now sees him, covers him off on the way in as Justin Morton comes to the checkered flag. He's going to take victory in heat number 3. Davis will take second, and Kibbe still gets through in the transfer spot.
So really, really good racing across the board there, Joe, and I think that slide job we saw from Kenny Kibbe, that is a omen of things to come. That is going to be the best way to get a pass done here as we continue to go on throughout this night.
Last heat of the night. J.R. Shepard will be starting on the pole of this one with Gary Clinton in second. Ron Snyder will start in third, Robbie Robinson in fourth, and Chris Hazlip will be fifth. This is the last of our fields, but it is still important because the top 3 will still be automatically put through into the feature race. Don't need to race for position into the Consolation. A little bit of contact, weirdly, between Clinton and Shepard as they tried to swap around. Shepard choosing the high side, unlike many of his contemporaries.
I think for Clinton there, he just wasn't expecting that to happen, was a little confused as to what Shepard is doing. But, truth be told, Joe, these cars are built like absolute tanks. So a little bit of rub in there, that's not going to do any damage whatsoever.
Right. Let's see if Clinton maybe can pull a fast one over J.R. Shepard. They do have to go on the green. They are not allowed to try and jump and play the starts. They have to wait for the flagman before they are allowed to accelerate into this series. So there is definitely an opportunity for the 6 to try and get into the lead. Waiting patiently. Green flag is out. He doesn't do it at all. J.R. Shepard is easily off the line before anybody else. In fact, Clinton sees cars on both sides, gets a little bit of a hurry up from behind from Robbie Robinson. Now they're going to split him, going 3 wide and down to the bottom. Ron Snyder could get into second place. It looks like he's through as 2 more cars come together. Clinton and Robinson, both of them falling to the back of the pack, and Hazlip says, thanks, I'm now in the transfer spot.
Really great way from Hazlip, but Hazlip gets overcorrected through the corner, tags Robbie Robinson. Robbie Robinson gets run into in the back by there Gary Clinton. Everybody trading paint here in this final heat race at Eldora. And there you can see that is them moving along there. That is Ron Snyder ahead of Robbie Robinson, just trying to ignore all of the pandemonium behind him.
Yeah, they've got a 2-second lead over everybody else. So the top 2 basically just have to cruise to the end. Snyder still behind Shepard, so if JR has a slip up, he could still take the heat win away. Oh, a lot of wall there on the outside, unfortunately. So it's the 3rd place that nobody wants. Robbie Robinson's still in it. With Gary Clinton having recovered, he's half a second behind. Hazlip seems to have unfortunately lost the most out of all that banging in the back of the field.
Yeah, Hazelip looks a little bit lost here. I actually think there may be some car damage. It just looks like it does not want to turn for him. But there you see J.R. Shepard working that high line once again. Ron Snyder in his tow as they cross the line for the white flag.
Down for one more lap. Still as smooth as you like. J.R. Shepard, who we ride on board with, handling it through 1 and 2. Then chucking the car into 3 and 4 right up next to the wall. Snyder's got nothing for him. So J.R. Shepard's going to kick off the season with a victory in the final heat of the day.
Really, really good run in there. A little bit of bumping and rubbing from third on back, and Robbie Robinson just being able to keep his nose out of everything to get that final transfer spot. But Joe, now we move on to the Consi, to the B main.
Indeed, and it is everybody going to the feature, mind you, but this will determine your starting position. Austin Belke will be on the pole with Joe Segala starting in second. It's John Wilson in third, followed by Gary Clinton in the fourth place, and then smack dab in the middle of the field, DJ, it's Ryan Sineker in fifth.
Ryan Sineker in fifth, followed by Jeffrey Harden in sixth, Matt Shinowski in seventh, followed by Chris Hazelip and Todd Hetherington bringing up the back of the field in P9.
Who is hungry out here today? A little bit of a longer race, mind you, 10 laps that they're doing. So not quite twice as long as what we saw, and still no caution flags in this one. Now that they have more cars out there, that means all the more danger that you can get tangled in somebody else's mess, DJ.
Oh, most certainly. And really and truly the biggest danger zone is going to be that first dive going into turn one. Now, this is where some of the guys who ran in the last heat race are actually going to have an advantage. They know what the track has done. But if you're Austin Belke, for example, who ran in one of the earlier heat races, this track has changed. You've had about 18 laps. I had to do the math there. I apologize. You had about 18 laps of cars worth going out here and changing the track level, so they don't know what it's going to feel like. So watch for a bobble or two going into one.
Yeah, 18 laps for 5 times each, because I don't think we had anybody go a lap down. That is a lot of wear and tear on the circuit, and he's going to have to basically get on it from the word go. There's no warm-up. There's just this pace lap, which doesn't give you all that much information. What has the 24 got as Austin Belke takes him to the green? It waves, and it's a good start. He's ahead of Joe Segala. Behind him, way down to the low side, John Wilson manages to get a nose in. Also a slow up for Clinton as we have a wreck in the back. Shinowski involved in that one along with Hetherington, and I didn't see who the third one was.
I think it was Ryan Sineker, Joe. It just looks like there was a little bit of over-rotation, and that's what sent him around. But jumping up back to the front there you can see that is the 81 of Joe Segala getting real friendly with the wall, but he still gets a great run off the corner on John Wilson in second. He's going to dive it back to the high side, but that's Jeffrey Harden thinking about making a move down the inside. Looks like he over-rotated ever so slightly, has to back off just a little bit.
75 still sticking to that low side, seeing if it's going to do anything for him. So far, no dice, but he is in second place, and he set the fastest lap of the race. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe it is doing something for him.
He's clearly got something. We said that low line wasn't going to be good, but I think John Wilson says, no, you know what? It is. This is a really, really great battle across the field. Belke gets up into the wall ever so slightly there. You can see out the back of Wilson's car. That's Segala and Harden going at it. But there are your leaders. That is Belke on the high side, Wilson on the low side. Wilson just clawing him back in here inch by inch.
No doubt. He's trying to make life as difficult as possible for the number 24. See if he can deny him a consolation win. Joe Segala watching back there. He knows that if that bottom goes away, he can manage to take second away from Wilson as well. Not going to happen this lap through, as he's definitely got his speed up currently, but we're halfway through the race already.
And really good exit off the corner there from Joe Segala. Absolutely positioned the car where he needs to do. John Wilson on this last lap finally going a little bit slower. Belke coming down to a more middle line, that high line not paying out as well for him. So he's having to alter as this track state continues to change.
We ride on board with third place runner Joe Segala, continuing to run the high line as his rival in front, Wilson, goes down low, down in front of him. Down to 3 laps left, and the 24 who took the pole is still leading, but he's once again banging up into the outside wall just off the high line. Wilson starting to experiment, going for a middle line here.
He is. I think that low line's not working for him as he has been losing time lap after lap after lap. But Segala doing a good job on the middle line, but Harden coming up behind on him, running a higher line through 3 and 4, gets a little friendly with the wall there, but he is now really starting to hassle Joe Segala, and this is about to get interesting there. You can see it, Jeffrey Harden setting the fastest lap of the race.
Coming around 3 and 4, getting ready to take the white flag. It's now a battle for third. Podium finish is up for grabs here in the consolation race of round 1 in the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Off the final turn, Belke just has to get the throttle down smoothly, and he's got this one wrapped up. Meanwhile, John Wilson still running low, playing defense on Segala. It's going to be very close to the line. Wilson got him, but it was hundredths of a second. Belke is your winner. Segala finishes third, and Harden was fourth. Clinton finished P5, Hazlip in 6th, Hetherington in 7th, as Sineker and Shinosky unfortunately DNF'd here for the consolation.
Yeah, they just got together early in that dangerous first corner like we talked about. But now, Joe, we get a little bit of a reset. The virtual water trucks come out, change the track surface, get a little bit more moisture into it. It's not a complete reset, but it will make it a little better. You can see as the sun goes down here, we're dealing with about a 74-degree track temperature, 75 degrees humidity, which is about right for this part of the country. And now everybody gets a 5-minute practice round to go figure out how their cars are going to handle on this newly wetted track. And the lights now being on, we get all the beautiful shines off these wonderful paint jobs before they dirty them up and take a little bit of the gloss off of them. That's one of the things I love about iRacing as it continues to improve, that they have that transformation of the cars as the race goes on. This is Proudfoot, who should start on the pole. Let's see if that fistful of bourbon machine can run it all the way to victory lane here today. Also the number 61 out there on track, Sineker, able to return now that he gets a fresh car. No needing to wrench away at the thing between the 2 sessions. It just pops back in for you and you're good to go. I'm sure, I have a feeling a lot of real-life dirt racers who've come on board with iRacing really appreciate that facet. Oh, most certainly. You don't have to get bloody knuckles in between sessions. It's got to be a good thing. But as you look at that GSRC timing pylon, you can see, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Brandon Proudfoot continuing to lead. But Kenny Kibbe putting in some really good times here to put himself P2. J.R. Shepard, Steven Spies, and Bobby Hayes rounding out your top 5.
5 minutes of warm-up, so it's not that long that they have to try and find themselves something here. Again, this is just to get reacclimated, as we have a number of drivers that have not been able to drive at all during any of the heats and not even during the consolation. Remember, the top 3 were pushed through into the feature and did not have to run that B main race that we just held. So this is giving everybody a chance to get back on equal footing and just kind of learn what is going on out there on this surface.
It is, and that surface is very, very heavily degraded, as Chris Davis and Chris Hazlip, and Chris's only guys who are able to go fast on their last lap. A couple more guys putting some good ones in here. Justin Morton going a little bit faster, but that top 5 still pretty much remaining the same as we tick down here just over 2 minutes to go in this final warm-up.
Now, I see that Todd Hetherington is in the session right now, but he's not on the track. Shinosky and Belke also have elected to sit in pit lane currently. In fact, yeah, they are both in the session as well. It's just making sure that they haven't called it a night early out here.
There you see on your screen Jason Best trying to do a little experimentation with the low line, see if that has anything working for him. It's going to be interesting, Joe, and I have to correct myself. The new rules for this season, they do not send the virtual water trucks out here, so this is the same surface that was just left in the B main. So very, very rubbered in track. Not a lot of moisture to be found. It's going to make things very difficult for these drivers in the A main.
Now, I know you and I both hail from the Midwest, but I have to confess, this is not a track that I've been to yet. Now that I am back living out here in Ohio, this is probably one I should put on my bucket list. Have you had the chance to actually go witness a race here before in person? I
have not. About any track, I'm originally from Indiana, and any dirt track in Indiana I have visited many, many times, but I have to say that we pretty much confided ourselves to the things listed on Indiana Sprint Week. So this is not one, but it is certainly one that I want to go hit.
I need to make a trip up at some point. Closest one to me, interestingly enough, that I am aware of is in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, over just across the border to you. Which was a fun time. My dad and I, a couple years ago, managed to get out and see some street stocks racing out there. Pretty fun time. And a shout out to anybody from Lawrenceburg, Indiana that is currently watching as we take a look. And the teeth are all still lined up and in place on the denture car of the number 66.
Yeah, there you see Damian working that high line, just trying to get that car around the corner. Little bit of over-rotation mid-corner there from him. That's something these drivers are going to be fighting there, as there's not going to be nearly as much grip as we talked about. But there is the checkered flag. So, Joe, it's about ready to get gridded up here for the final.
Absolutely. It'd be a bit of a shame, I have to admit, if the 66 does not take the crown at the end of the season. Let's go to our starting grid, and it is going to be Brandon Proudfoot on the pole with Steven Spies starting in second. Justin Morton, P3, will be flanked by J.R. Shepard, who is outside in fourth. It is Billy Northcutt starting P5. I expect him to move forward as things go on. Bobby Hayes starts in sixth with Chris Davis in seventh. Ron Schneider, he'll be P8. Jason Best in ninth, and Damian Horth will round out your top 10.
In 11th is going to be Kenny Kibbe. Look for him to move up the field, and Robbie Robinson will be flanking him in P12. Austin Belke, the winner of the B main, 13th, followed by John Wilson. Joe Segala and Jeffrey Harden behind him. Gary Clinton and Chris Hazlip behind them in 17th and 18th. Todd Hetherington lining up 19th, with Ryan Seneker and Matt Shanowski rounding out your field.
So again, a changed set of rules for the finale, because not only do they have more laps, it's 40 laps long, so much longer than what we had in those heats and in the Consolation. But now we have the caution flags that will happen in this race if we get wrecks, DJ. How does that change the driver's approach?
Well, honestly, you're kind of driving the race hoping that there's not going to be a caution to come across at any time. That's just sort of the mentality you want to have with it. But when that caution comes out, you have to look at it as an advantage for you. You're going to want to try to get a couple of positions up. We saw a lot of times last season, Brandon Proudfoot and his teammate Bobby Rafferty just absolutely pulling away from the field, only to be pulled back in a la Michael Corleone by a yellow flag. So we'll have to see if that happens again. If you're leading, if you're out in the front, you don't want one. If you're trying to catch up a little bit, you're definitely praying for one or two.
Well, let's see who's got the best position in the family tonight, because it seems like Proudfoot is certainly starting off on a good foot. He's got that pole, and he's waiting for the pace truck to hop on in. Green flag is out. It's a good shot off. Just behind him, Steven Spies slots into line. Down low, that's Justin Morton trying to work the bottom side of the circuit through turns 1 and 2, and very clean start. In fact, incredibly orderly for everybody coming through those first few corners.
Yeah, my dire prediction's not coming true there. Justin Morton doing a good job to work that low side. He got a little bit squiggly off the start. I thought he was going to drop back, but he very quickly proving me wrong. Starting to try to push Steven Spies, but here comes J.R. Shepard moving his way up. He is running the high line there on the outside of Morton. He may have some good momentum here to try to make something happen.
And Spees has this dirt racing experience to lean on. Don't forget he raced mod lights in real life. As we got a lot of swapping in the back of the field. Look at them fanning out. 3, almost 4 wide in some places. Might have a bit of a problem in the mid-pack. Chris Davis nearly got into what looked like Billy Northcutt, who has been falling backwards. The double lot is down to 8th, maybe up to 7th here. He is in quite a mess in the middle of the field.
He really is. He just keeps finding himself in sandwiches as they come through the corner. Now trying to make it 3 wide there with that's Chris Davis, or excuse me, that's with Jason Best and Bobby Hayes going down super low on the 47 of Jason Best, trying to get something to happen, but Northcutt just not able to get anywhere on these guys.
And up on the high side in the blue and white, that's Bobby Hayes in the 13. Caught a little bit of the wall, trying to see if he can use that momentum past Best. Unfortunately, he's going to get it again, but it's not hurting him too bad. In fact, it seems to be rather working out for the number 13, who we ride on board with now.
It is. He's kind of riding that wall to perfection. There he goes on the high side. Should have a little bit of momentum, but the tail end slides out ever so slightly. You can see Northcutt there just weaving that car this way and that, trying to find something, anything. And here comes Hayes. It looks like that's going to be Best, maybe by a nose at the line, but there's absolutely nothing separating these two at all.
Certainly not. As we see them come off of turn 2 once again down the backstretch, the top 4 are essentially single file. They want no part of all this craziness behind them, being led, top 5 really, being led by Proudfoot with a monster gap, 1.7 seconds before you get to Spees, who is trailed by Morton, Shepard, and Davis.
Davis has gotten a little punchy on a lap or two, about 2 laps ago, tried to throw a slide job on J.R. Shepard, but just didn't quite have the momentum to make it stick. So he is currently stuck back there in 5th. He's going to be looking to try to make his way forward. There you see on board with him, you can see just how much he's having to saw at the wheel. The grip completely gone from the track here tonight at Eldora.
So we ride on board with Davis. Hand sawing away at the wheel. Slightly different line that we saw between Shepard in front of him and himself. Let's head back to Jason Best, though. He's been the place with most of the action. Remember we mentioned Kenny Kibbe trying to work his way forward? Well, he's done a good job. Up 3 spots into 8th from 11th. Could be looking at 7th here. And I think he's going to have one on Jason Best. Indeed, he does. So that will put Kibbe up into P7 now.
Great move up there for Kenny Kibbe, just riding that outside line to perfection. He is your largest mover of the race, up 4 spots there into 7th. But Jason Best not letting that position get away from him that easily. He is continuing to challenge Kibbe on the inside. Kibbe's still trying to make that outside line work. And I have to say, doing a better job than Best. It seems like he's able to do it. The only problem being is watching that line out of 1 and 2, it looks like Kibbe's just getting a hair of wheel spin, the car not wanting to fully comply with him.
Still fighting back, but Jason Best on the low side finds himself without the momentum he needs. Look at how wide the slicked up line is now, almost from top to bottom through 1 and 2. Got a little bit left through parts of 3 and 4. Jason Best seems like he's unfortunately going to have to give it up because Kibbe is now solidly into P7. Next up for him, Bobby Hayes. And then a little ways up the road is Spees and Morton, who are still fighting for 2nd place. Spees trying that middle line. He sees a lot of unused track there. Now, will that pay off is the question.
We'll have to see. There you see him going for a little bit of a modified slide job line, just taking advantage of that slick to work the car up the track before positioning himself on the cushion. There you see him diving for it. He gets that moisture, gets it to work.
Oh, we got a caution.
Oh, we got a caution.
Bobby Hayes, I think, for this one. So that's going to be another spot for Kenny Kibbe, and this was at first a lone car incident, but then in the end he got some help from Jason Best to send him the rest of the way around.
Looks like he just got a little bit squirrely there coming into corner entry, and Jason just tagged him up a little bit here. We're going to watch a little further back. You can see him. That's Kibbe right behind him. Oh, gets up into the wall and just rides the wall, gets up on it, no control going down the backstretch, and Jason just gives him that little tag, and that's going to be enough to ostensibly end his day. He does get a fast repair, so we'll have to see if he'll be able to get out on tonight.
Looks like maybe he took a tow to come in, and that might be part of what's taken him a while to get back out. He's already 2 laps down. Your order up at the top since then is Proudfoot ahead of Spees, Morton in 3rd, J.R. Shepard in 4th, and Chris Davis in 5th. That is your top 5, but 4 of those top 5 have really had nothing in terms of pace compared to the number 22 of Brandon Proudfoot.
Yeah, Proudfoot just continuing where he left off last season of absolutely dominating this field. That gap was out to about 2.5 seconds before the yellow flew. So he's going to be a little bit angry that this came out, wanted to just keep pressing that advantage. But I think he may be able to get back to it once they get going green, as that pace just looks absolutely undeniable. But the battle that I think is going to be really interesting to watch is Justin Morton and Steven Spees, 2nd and 3rd. That was getting very, very tight before this yellow came out, and I think it's going to resume once we get back under green.
Certainly looking like it will. Looking like it will as the 22 brings him around double file. Out of turn 4. He is on it very early. The 22 is off. Spees already taking a challenge from Justin Morton. Can Morton pull the slide job right off? Nope, he's not going to try it. He's going to stay down low. That'll cost him some momentum coming off the corner. Once again, tucking it down, that inside wall, almost blind there with that wall. Cutting off your view, we got another caution. Is this Hetherington? I think it might be. Oh, no, I do see a problem for Damian Horth, the 66. Yeah, I think it might have been Horth. Now, he didn't go around, but he was slow and almost got turned around a couple times. So this is the middle of the incident. We'll have to back up a little bit more.
There you see Clinton and the 61 of Ryan Seneca getting into the back of him. I think that may have just triggered iRacing systems here. So there you see it, everybody coming through there. Now we are watching the 66. Yeah, he just gets spun around right there. Clinton gets into the back of him and gets him a little bit of a turn there, and then he gets that tag up from Seneca. iRacing's automatic caution system just recognizing slow car with a lot of contact, and that being what sends the caution flags out here for the 2nd time at Eldora.
So, unfortunately, a little bit trigger-happy marshals here today at Eldora. So I definitely think we could have continued racing after that one, but it resets them once again. Morton not able to be ahead of Spees at the critical moment. That's one of those things about those cautions, too. It could come at just the wrong time.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of those things that you're going to be praying it doesn't happen, but they're lining up here again. That's going to be Proudfoot on the inside of Spees, just like we saw it last time. I believe the lights are out, so we are ready to get back under racing here at Eldora.
Absolutely. Here we go, as Proudfoot once again goes right away. Green flag is out at Eldora. Can Morton manage to do something this time on Steven Spees? They start to pick up speed coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. Spees has the nose ahead. Spees has the nose ahead. Morton sending it in deep down into 3 and 4, though. Behind them, almost 3 wide for a moment. J.R. Shepard getting into the mix now. Where did he come from?
I think that walk up the track there from Morton just ever so slightly. Here comes Shepard powering by Morton. He has got about a full car ahead now. They're going to dive down into 3 and 4. Morton not finding grip on that low line. It's going away from him. Shepard fully on up. Big kerfluffle behind there. That's Chris Davis leading off with Kenny Kimby, but a lot of guys getting very, very close.
And Northcutt, I think, in there as well. Jason Best still trying to hold off Belke, who's to his high side as we ride on board with Kibbe. Looking up at Davis. Still 2 wide. Pretty much 8th on back down the field. Belke to the outside of Jason Best, the 2 red and black cars weaving their way around 1 and 2. We're past halfway in this race. In fact, we're down to 13 laps to go this time to buy, so time is running out if you want to get up to a good position.
Yeah, it's now or never time, and Austin Belke riding the wall there a little bit through 1 and 2, but they're keeping everything nice and even. We watch out front, though. This is Steven Spies trying to reel in Brandon Proudfoot. He's been able to keep that gap under a second, but Proudfoot about a tenth of a second, 0.2 of a second faster than Spies on every single lap here.
Northcutt now back up to the top side, trying to hold on to 10th, and the car in front of them is in the wall. I think that was Belke. He's now going to be under threat, and it's going to be Jason Best who tries to take advantage, but once again denied the outside line. He's finding passing quite difficult.
Yeah, nobody really able to get that low line working to perfection here. This track just too rubbered in, too slick through the middle. But Best may be able to try something as they go in through 3 and 4. There's still a little bit of that moisture, but he's just going to stick it on the high side, hopefully force Austin into a mistake. Austin does make a little bit of a mistake, but so does Jason getting into the wall coming across the start finish.
10 laps to go now, side by side. Oh, and we got a caution. Seneker, I think? Yes, it is indeed Seneker. Now, did he actually have something happen, or did he park it?
No, it looks like he's got some damage to the right front, so I think he may have had something happen to him.
Fortunately, don't have a replay. Yeah, that may be what caused him to pull the car over. He did park it on the backstretch, so unfortunately something terminal may have come across the car, and unfortunately the stewards did not like it being stationary, even though it was off the racing line. Also hearing that his internet connection may have been causing him issues, so could have just been everything coming together for him deciding it's not really the day to stay out here and interrupt other people's races, although unfortunately he inadvertently interrupted a lot of people's races. Now they once again are going to have to go double file and restart with only a scant, about 6 laps to go here?
That's about right, Joe. It's going to be a real shootout to see what happens. We have seen Spies be able to keep this semi-close to Proudfoot in the opening stages of the race, but Proudfoot just able to pull away like nobody's business. But J.R. Shepard now past Justin Morton into third, so that is going to be the change here to watch. We've been able to see that third place position get some really good momentum off the line, and we'll have to see if Shepard can capitalize, maybe move himself up to second above Spies.
Already double file behind the pace truck. Hopefully this will be the last time we see it today. They can end under caution here. It's not the way we want to see this race wrap up. We want to see it go green to the end with a battle all the way to the line. Can Spies give it to Proudfoot? Green flag is out. Doesn't get the greatest of shots. In fact, he's already got J.R. Shepard underneath him, seeing if he can get into P2. The wily veteran has learned some tricks here on the dirt, and already that's allowing Brandon Proudfoot to extend the gap between himself and the rest of the field. Shepard on the low side, trying to do something with what little moisture he can find on the very bottom of the track, but it's not paying dividends, and Morton is going to try and demote him.
And Morton just about does. Really heads up play from there from Morton to be able to get that car by. Shepard now going to go back to the high line here, try to make something happen. Davis behind them, weaving that car this way and that, trying to find something, anything happening, but the battle up front, absolutely electric here. Proudfoot able to pull ahead to a gap of about 7/10, but Morton starting to close in on speed, and Shepard lurking there in the background.
And that was Kibbe overtaking Davis. That's up to P5 for the number 14. Remember, he started in 11th. Really good with his race pace here today. While it is all single file all the way down to 8th place, we've got multiple cars racing side by side behind them, starting with the likes of Ron Snyder, still battling with guys like Northcutt and Robbie Robinson.
Yeah, they're keeping it all nice and tight there. Austin Belke coming by. He is also up 6 spots from his starting position, so great run there from Belke. You can see Northcutt trying to dive down onto that inside, but not doing there. Oh, Belke gets super wide coming off the corner. That's going to let Jason Best close up to him, but here comes Brandon Proudfoot to cross the line to take the white flag.
It has been an incredible display here from the 22. Is this a sign of things to come? Can he make enough rounds this season to challenge for the overall championship? As he comes out of turn 4, 40 laps of racing in the feature produces a win for Brandon Proudfoot. It's a race to the line behind him for second, but it goes to Spies by a hair over Justin Morton.
That was very tight, as was the battle for 5th and 6th with Kenny Kibbe and Chris Davis. Kibbe able to just H it over the line to come home in 5th. So really good run there from him and from Austin Belke coming home in P8.
That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Eldora Speedway. Round 1 of the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series was won by Brandon Proudfoot. And I'm not just talking about the feature. He won his heat as well and showed himself to be a force to be reckoned with yet again. Steven Spies managed second with Justin Morton rounding out your podium, denying J.R. Shepard, who made a charge towards the end of that race in that final stint, but it wasn't enough. And Kenny Kibbe did get a top 5 after starting 11th. Hats off to that 14 car. Chris Davis will be P6 in the end, and Jason Best 7th. And it's Austin Belke, another one up 5 positions into 8th. And Billy Northcutt winds up in 9th, with Robbie Robinson rounding out your top 10.
In 11th was Ron Snyder, followed by Matt Shinosky. John Wilson would bring the car home in the unlucky spot of 13th, followed by Joe Segala and Jeffrey Hart, and Damian Horth in 16th, followed by Chris Hazlip and Todd Hetherington. Gary Clinton suffering some damage in that race, coming home 5 laps down in 19th, and Ryan Seneker having the same, down 11 laps in 20th. And then to round out the field, Bobby Hayes, who also suffered some damage, coming home in 21st.
So that brings us to our winner in this race, Brandon Proudfoot, as we pull him along. And Brandon, of course, taking pole, taking the win in his heat, and taking the win in the feature. Brandon, it looked like a pretty straightforward victory to me.
Far from it. I may have been the fastest car out there, but I can tell you every single one of these guys was working as hard as I was. Whenever you got a rough cushion like that at Eldora, it's a heck of a drive, and both for your hands and your foot.
It did look like, from what I could see, you mostly stayed up on the high side. Did we miss any time that you tried flirting with the bottom, or did you just keep it glued up to the top of the hill?
I tried at most a slider line, but I never got to the middle or the bottom of anything. I tried it in warm up, but the momentum's just not there. And at a big track like this, when you get a good cushion going, it up top's the place to be.
Well, this is a good sign for your season. Obviously, couldn't quite make all of them last time to vie for the championship. Has that changed? Are you able to make enough of them that you could give it a run?
Yeah, now that we're in the winter seasons, last season I actually went and bought one of my own street stocks up in New York, and that's why I missed a few. Had a few family things, but now that we're in the winter months here, I believe I should be here at every single one. I'm gonna look see if we can't get JBE 3 in a row.
Wow, that will certainly be a bad sign for everybody else, but fascinating to watch for us. Anybody you want to thank before you head out for this win?
Of course, Fistful of Bourbon, Winners Get Whiskey, baby. General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, JSP XTV Axles, Gibson Performance, Acronis, Stamp Racing Fabrication, '07 Designs, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, Lyle and all the guys over here running the league, you guys doing the broadcast, and all the family downstairs.
Awesome stuff. Brandon Proudfoot in the number 22 with our win today. And then up next, we've got our second place finisher, DJ, has caught up with Steven Spies.
Well, Steven, it's the same. It's a new season, same story. Not able to catch Brandon today, but putting in a very, very good drive to keep guys like Justin and JR behind you. How was it?
It's horrible. Let's be honest. This thing at Eldora where we just run around the top is like my kryptonite. I really don't enjoy it. So I was kind of hanging on for dear life. If Justin or JR, I know they were right there. They were probably both faster than me. And if either of them would have kind of had a nose or tried to put a slider, I think I'd have let them go tonight. But, P2 can't complain. It's just tough here for me. I just don't do good up against the wall.
Well, you could have fooled us, man. It looked like at a couple of points you were going down trying to try that sort of medium line that was still alive there. Obviously, that wasn't getting you the speed you need. You just had to stick it at the highway. That was the only way to go.
Yeah, it really was. And really, honestly, what I was doing is I have a huge amount of trouble keeping it off the wall on corner entry. I try full throttle with a lot of wheel, no throttle with a little wheel, and everything in between. And I still just tend to hit the dang wall going into the corner. So if you kind of bring it down to that middle, I mean, it does a couple of things, right? It protects somebody from getting under me whenever I know they're probably faster than me, and getting a run, as well as keeps me kind of off the wall, and I can just keep the car straight and nudge it up towards the wall to hit that cushion coming off and getting speed.
Gotcha. Well, we're headed to, obviously the rest of this season coming in. I mean, I got to think some of the tighter tracks that we're going to, I know it's not all these big highline wides. Do you think you can make a run at Brandon and Jim Beaver up top?
We'll see. He's really good at this, pretend car racing stuff. And, it's fun. I enjoy the league. It doesn't, I obviously like being up front. We'll see if we have anything for Brandon, but it's just fun running with this group of guys regardless. So hopefully one of us will get up there and run him down. We'll have a couple of chances at him this year. We'll see.
Well, we'll be watching with bated breath to see if it does happen. Stephen, before we let you go, anybody you need to thank tonight?
Yeah, first, not sure if he's able to watch tonight, but I want to say best wishes to my friend John Hine. He's not feeling good at all this week and quite a bit down under the weather. So best of luck to him getting better and feeling better and getting back on the track. And thanks to Epsilon Sprint Wraps for putting a good looking wrap on this race car.
Well, thank you, Stephen. We will see you next week. And now Joe Peak has caught up with our third place finisher, Justin Morton.
Yes, and unfortunately for Justin, I suspect that he could probably describe in detail the back of Steven Spies' car, but we don't really want to hear about that. We want to hear about your experience inside the cockpit. Was there any frustration at any point in that race, Justin?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely frustration when you're stuck behind a guy, and both of you know that the guy behind you is faster, but I know that's just how racing is sometimes.
Obviously. And then suddenly you had J.R. Shepard come into the mix. So did you have fears that he would actually be able to take that third away from you, or do you think you had him covered?
Oh yeah, I definitely was a bit nervous seeing Jared lurking behind me most of the race. When we had that restart, I was stuck on the bottom. I figured Jared would get the spot, but thankfully I got to the top side on the next restart, so I was able to hold him off.
So representing total downforce still, obviously, with that number 9. Is there anything special for the TDR guys coming up this year that you guys have planned in terms of team endeavors? Any big races that you could see them setting up for?
Well, currently I'm running a MTech team. Riley just came back to our team. We're very happy to have him back. So we'll be definitely running more special events this year. Yeah, just a whole lot more racing this year.
Oh, we look forward to seeing you more on the channel, Justin. Again, congratulations on a podium, and can't wait to see it Weed Sport.
Yep, thank you.
That was Justin Morton, who finished 3rd out there today, and that's going to close us up. Of course, we want to give a big thank you to the Bootleg Racing League for bringing us back for another season of coverage here of the Dirt Street Stock Series. But a thank you also goes to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work, and I can point out that she is working on an album. I've been seeing her tweeting about that. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We've got a link in the description below. Don't forget as well to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next round up in Weed Sport will be Friday. That'll be Friday, January, this next week in January, and that will be at 8 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.